Greetings, every pony. This is the Nova Narrator, coming to you with yet another story. Fly Hard, Chapter 2, The Revenge of the Griffin Commander. Now, enough babbling, and let's get right into it. I like to start off soon. Don't like to ramble. Weeks after the Pegasi attack on the Griffin base, the Griffins started to get furious at what the Pegasi did to their base. Little did the Pegasi know that the Griffins were going to retaliate sooner than they think, as Commander Max Sterling stood in his office next to his wife in Cloudsdale, awaiting his next orders. As the lieutenants and all the other soldiers are lined up outside, waiting to be dispatched to yet another bloodbath. Yeah, I'm gonna put it like that. That's basically all war is. Okay, enough rambling, let's just continue. When the call finally came in that the Griffins were moving in on their location, they were quick to act, and quick to retaliate, as all the Pegasi took to the sky after taking their armor and weapons, flying in the direction of the call. Little did they know they were flying right into a trap set by the Griffin commander himself. But his real target was actually their headquarters. But they didn't know that at the time. But they will soon find out. I wonder what they're gonna do to it. Cloudsdale. I guess we'll just see. Flying further, the Pegasi start to wonder why haven't they been jumped yet. Just then, out of nowhere, a barrage of bullets flies up at them, striking two of them down as the commander screams out, "Medic!" as you always hear in those war movies, or whatever. I'm not a dictionary or a dialogue computer. See, I'm not even sure if I pronounced that right. Let's just continue. Flying down to see if they're okay, they were quite dead, so there ain't much they could do for them. So they started to fire back and retaliate. But little did they know this is only 25% of the Griffin forces. All 75% of the rest of them made their way to Cloudsdale in the other direction, avoiding the Pegasi army by a hair. They basically just snuck past them through the trees. Yeah. Surprising they didn't see them in the air. What good's having wings and eyes if you don't use them? But as the Pegasi realized that it was all a setup after they got the radio call back from Cloudsdale that their base was under attack, and there was already several casualties. And they are literally bombarding the whole place. The screams can be heard in the background from little ponies running around trying their best to get out of the line of fire. To little success, as most of them end up dying. The Pegasi they quickly bank and turn back around towards their base as the commander says, "Hurry up. Privates, we have to get back to the base." I think that's how they would say it. Or recruits, I'm not really sure. I don't know the military talk. But on their way back, they run into a few stray Griffins that end up shooting a couple of them down, along with the Griffins getting blasted down themselves. But by the time they made it back to Cloudsdale, they were already too late. They've done blasted Cloudsdale out of the sky and killed every Pegasi there. As the commander lands on the ground on his knees, screaming to the heavens, "No!" realizing that he's been had by or bested by the Griffins. He ends up getting furious, rallying what's left of his troops. He leads a frontal assault towards the enemy base, thinking all entirely that every pony in Cloudsville, including his wife, is dead. But little did they know that a lot of them managed to escape by flying under the clouds. Pretty slick idea. But they didn't know that. As the flying continues on the way to the base, little fights were had along the way, but not much resistance until they reached the main compound, the Griffin headquarters, the head base of the Griffin commander. I think the Griffin commander's name is Scar. I'm not really sure, but I'm pretty sure that's what I originally said it as. I'm just gonna stop rambling and go on. Scar was not a nice Griffin. He wanted nothing but bloodshed and war. That's what made the Griffin so furious on ripping every pony to pieces. As the battle commenced, gunshots and bullets zipping every which way as sounds of swords clacking against each other, of the ponies that ran out of ammo, see going into hand-to-hand combat. A lot of the Pegasi ended up being bested in this. Hell, Griffin's got, better hand-to-hand combat skills because they're technically a mix between two different predators. That much should be obvious. So the Pegasi started to resort in trying to shoot the ones that were going into hand-to-hand combat. And obviously it was working. There were several casualties, but after a while, the battle continued. And then the whole ground started to turn red as the Commander Max Sterling starts to wonder, why the hell are we even doing this? This is nothing but a bloodbath. As the lieutenant screams through the microphone, call it off! Call it off! But Max wasn't giving up that easy. He had one more ace in the hole. He reaches into his saddlebag and pulls out what appears to look like a rocket launcher. He aims it right down the middle at the Griffin base, right where the commander's, what would he call place of business would be, or office, and just fired as the rocket zipped straight down the line. Every creature just took a moment to look at it as it hit the building, blasting the Griffin commander clean out of his seat. It severely injured him, but didn't kill him, surprisingly. But after that, the Pegasi issued a full-on retreat, firing back at a few Griffins that decided to follow them as they land off in a safe clearing, panting nearly out of breath for flying so fast. Just then, the lieutenant walks up to the commander. Nearly out of breath, barely able to talk, he mutters, "What are we going to do, Commander?" The commander just stops and thinks for a moment. How are we going to win this? The base is gone. We're low on ammo and supplies. And we are basically and metaphorically screwed. But the commander shook that thought out of his head and saying, "No, we're gonna win this no matter what." Gathering what was left of his courage, he said, "The only way to beat a predator is to act like a predator." So, after that, they started covering themselves in mud and leaves. And then they started to sneak through the trees and bushes back to the Griffin base, determined to finish it off for good for what they did to Cloudsdale. They continue running through the trees and bushes, covering themselves and covering their tracks in a camouflage pattern so they can't be seen. As they all add scopes to their rifles, they're going to snipe the Griffins from the ground. The Griffins decided to just go back to watching for threats, not even knowing the Pegasi were slowly approaching on their location. One of the Griffins almost spot them, but a Pegasi with a silenced rifle caps him right in the head as the bullet whistles right through the bushes and pops him, knocking him flat on his back. As all the Pegasi continue, not even bothering to use their wings, as if they were in the air, they'd be vulnerable. As they slowly start surrounding the Griffin base. To the Griffins don't know, I guess. I'm not really sure how you'd put that. Little did the Griffins know that they were already surrounded when Commander Sterling came out with full body plated armor and two of the biggest machine guns he could carry. He smokes a cigar and says a prayer to Celestia. And then he starts spraying bullets in all directions, killing about 50 Griffins in one clip. Or, in the whole two-gun case, 2 clips. As Griffins could be heard falling to the ground, trying to recatch themselves from the surprise attack, they started firing back as Max dives behind a rock. As the snipers start kicking in, picking off every Griffin that's stupid enough to get too close. Bang goes the rifle. As the machine gun fires again, someone throws out a grenade, causing one of the Pegasi to have to dodge quickly. As soon as she sees it, sorry, I almost got choked up there for a second. Where am I? Oh yeah. The Griffins ended up finding one of the Pegasi, the Lieutenant Stardust. Stardust basically ends up getting pinned by the Griffin who tries to stab her. She ends up smacking him in the mouth with her rifle and blasting him in the face with it. As the battle wages on, the pony's clearly besting the Griffins this time. I guess stealth is the better choice, Max thought. But because only a few casualties happened so far, and that was due to loose grenades and the idiots that weren't dumb enough to throw it back. Yeah, idiots. When someone throws a grenade at you, you got 2 options. Get the hell out of there or throw it back. I prefer to give it back to you. But, do whatever you want, I guess. As the Griffins finally retreat their own base, the Pegasi planting their flag on it and going into the building to finish off the Griffin commander. They all have a cheer and a drinking party after the long battle as they treat the wounded. As screams for the word medic could be heard in the background by some of the survivors who were helping tend to the injured. There were not many major injuries, just a couple bullets in the hooves and maybe somewhat fatal flesh wounds, but nothing that was too hard to be treated. The only ones that died were the ones that got blown up. Max thought to himself, I may never see my wife again. As he hung his head down low, Lieutenant Stardust comes over to him, wraps a hoof around his neck and nuzzles him. The commander looks up at her, see, with a sad expression on his face. She knew what he was thinking about. She knew he was thinking about his wife, Storm. But, according to the message that Lieutenant Stardust got, she and a couple others survived thanks to her quick thinking. And she told him that, which kind of cheered him up, but he still wished he knew where she was at. Yeah, just like a guy to want to know where his woman's at all times of the day. Yeah, let's just leave it at that. Oh god. I think I'm gonna have to get a drink after this. Yeah, but where was I? Oh yeah. The lieutenant walks back over to try to help the medic as the commander leans back and what used to be the Griffin commander's office and lights a cigar. Leaning back and propping his hooves up on the desk and relaxing after a job well done, they started salvaging the Griffin's weapons and ammo. Getting the third base was blown up, they could use the supplies. So why not take it from your enemies? They're trying to kill you anyway, so why not kill them and take their weapons? He thought. So he did. After that, they made the Griffin base their own. But little did they know, there is still one more base to take, and it was the biggest one of them all. The Griffins called it Fort Mountar, which was the biggest Griffin capital base in Army history, with the biggest elite fighters in the Griffin Army. And he knew that was going to be a tough one with what resources he had left. He started clacking his roof against the desk, thinking how he's going to do this. Another stealth attack might work, he thought. But thinking over again, basically, that place has thermal cameras. So a stealth attack probably wouldn't be the best idea. They're better off just bombarding this place, he thought. But they didn't have no missiles or no warheads. Thinking and thinking through himself, the lieutenant saw he was in distress again, so she came back over and started leaning on him again. I am beginning to think that the commander is some kind of Mormon pony. And that was Fly Hard Chapter 2. Tune in next time for the conclusion to this war fiction, where they take Mount Centurion, the biggest Griffin base in the Griffin Army. And the next one is going to probably be the best one. I don't know why, but most fiction ends with a bang, and I try to keep it like that. So tune in next time for Chapter 2. This is the Nova narrator reminding you to make sure to like, subscribe, comment, and make sure to turn on that bell notification so you can be notified for my next video. Thank you, and have a nice day, everybody, or whatever time you're in.